Mm. Oh, so satisfying. Whoa! Hey, Crossroads kids. I'm just enjoying the sun. After we've had all this snow, more snow this week, it's been cold. I'm just having a good time outside chilling. What are you doing? I bet you're just inside. Can you guess where I am? You think maybe I'm in Hawaii? Or California? Or maybe Florida? Well, if you guessed any of those, you are wrong. I'm actually hanging out in my basement. Just like some of you probably are. But I'm using my imagination and choosing to have joy in this season and being grateful. I hope you're doing that too. And I've got a reason, actually, for all of us to be joyful. It's that Easter is coming. And you want to know why we're going to be joyful about that? Because all month we've been talking about things we can give up for God. And this is the last week that we give things up because Easter is coming and we get to celebrate that Jesus is not dead, he is alive. And so we're really excited about that. And this week we're going to talk about the last thing that we have to give up. But I'm not going to tell you about it. First, we're going to worship.
What's next? I wanna face this world with wonder and excitement. Face every challenge, every day. Wherever you lead me, I'm gonna follow. I'm trusting you, God. You are good. Life will be crazy, wild and amazing. I'm trusting you, God. You are good. Wherever you lead me, anything can happen. Can't hardly wait to see what's next. I wanna face this world with wonder and excitement. Face every challenge, every day.
like to think about the goodness of the Lord. He gives me everything I need and so much more. So I just want to lift my hands and say that I love him. I just want to lift my heart in praise. And I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. I want to remember everything that the Lord has done. I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. I want to be. I want to be. I want to be. I like to think about the goodness of the Lord. He gives me everything I need and so much more. So I just want to lift my hands and say that I love him. I just want to lift my heart in praise. And I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. I want to remember everything that the Lord has done. I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. I want to be. I want to be. I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. I want to remember everything that the Lord has done. I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. I want to be. 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 I want to be.
Hey, great seeing everyone. Last week we talked about how God is better than our pride, and you saw how I ended up doing the dishes after I was super proud with Julie. I hope that you got a chance to serve your family this last week. I wonder maybe what you did. We'd love to hear what you did, or maybe you took a picture of what you did. We'd love it if you send it in. In fact, we are loving hearing from you. We loved seeing the craft that Nora and Owen did at home. We loved seeing the answers to the small group questions that McKenna did, or the Butler kids doing worship. We especially loved how some of you joined us on the Thanksgiving challenge we give you, and we actually had a winner. The winner, drum roll please, is the Turner family. We'll post that video later this week of why the Turners won. It is pretty cool what they did and what they're thankful for. And if you want to send in some updates to us of what you've been doing, you can send them to k6pastors@crossroadschurch.ca, or you can post it on our Facebook page. We'd love to be able to see what you're doing. The last thing I want to talk to you about before we get to memory verse time is this. Do you remember your old pal? The golf ball challenge? Well, some of you are probably wondering, hey, we've been memorizing these verses and we ain't getting a prize. What's the deal? Well, I tell you, if you send us a little video of you doing the memory verse, or your parents send us an email saying they heard you do it, we'll put a golf ball in for you. So, we had a couple of you kids do it this last week. We'll put those golf balls in. McKenna and some others of you got that verse done. We will put it in. The Plinko prize will still happen. Now, we're going to do memory verse. Are you ready? You got your accents ready? We're going to get to it now. I'm just kidding. We aren't going to do accents this week. But rather, we're going to do a song, a memory verse song. So why don't you sing along with us?
Corinthians 5:17.
If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. He is a new creation. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. He is a new creation. creation. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. He is a new creation. Old is gone, the new has come. He is a new creation. He is a new creation. The old is gone, the new has come. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation.
These last few weeks, we've been talking about Jesus and some of the things he taught us, some of the miracles he did, and how amazing he was. But Jesus was more than just a good teacher. He was more than just a miracle worker. Jesus was God, and he came to earth to be our king, to show us how to live a different way than full of our sinful, selfish ways. But the more people began to see who Jesus really was and how different he was, his way of living in the world, the less they wanted to follow him. See, they liked his miracles, they liked his teaching, but they didn't really want to have to do what he said. Like our verse last month, they didn't want to have to deny themselves. They didn't want him to be their king. And so a bunch of people decided they were going to start telling lies about Jesus. They said, we have to get rid of this guy. We don't want him to be our king. We want to be our own king. And so they told lies about Jesus. They said he did things wrong that he had never done wrong. Remember, Jesus was perfect. He was God. But when they lied about Jesus and they took Jesus before the authorities, they decided Jesus was guilty and he would have to be crucified. Today we read in the story in Luke chapter 23. And if you have a Bible at home, maybe you and your family can read this story later together. But for now, we'll watch it on a video. So watch with us as we look at our story this week.
Thousands of people lined both sides of the road as Jesus struggled along. He staggered under the weight of his cross. Most people shouted and jeered at Jesus. His friends and followers wept. Finally, Jesus fell down. He had no strength left after being beaten by the soldiers. The soldiers grabbed a strong-looking man who was standing nearby. Simon, a traveler from the town of Cyrene, was forced to carry Jesus' cross. They reached the place called Calvary, the place where criminals were crucified. The soldiers pushed Jesus roughly down on the cross. They pounded long iron spikes through his wrists and his feet. Then they lifted the cross and dropped the bottom of it in a hole in the ground so it would stand upright. The pain was terrible. Crucifixion was the most painful and cruel way to put someone to death. But Jesus prayed, "Father, forgive these people. They don't know what they're doing." The crowd watched as leaders made fun of Jesus. "He saved other people, but he can't save himself," they jeered. The soldiers made fun of Jesus too. They made a sign and nailed it above his head. "This is the King of the Jews," it declared. 2 thieves were crucified along with Jesus. One of the men mocked him. "So you're the Messiah. Prove it by saving yourself and us too." The other thief responded, "We deserve to die," he protested. "But this man has done nothing wrong." He turned to Jesus and said, "Remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus promised that he would. At noon, the light from the sun completely disappeared. The darkness lasted until 3 o'clock when Jesus cried, "Father, I entrust my spirit into your hands." And then he died. The earth shook. The curtain in the temple was torn into 2 from top to bottom. Only God or his angels could have ripped the thick curtain. A good man named Joseph went to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. Joseph put Jesus' body in a new tomb, one that had been carved out of a rock, the very tomb that Joseph had made for himself. A big stone was rolled in place to seal the tomb. It was very late Friday afternoon. All was quiet. Everyone knew something powerful had just happened.
Well, some of us have heard that story before. Maybe some of you, it's the first time you've heard it. But I wonder if you've ever stopped to ask the question, why did Jesus have to die? I mean, could he have dealt with sin another way? Why did he have to die such a horrible death? Well, I want to help you answer that question by giving you a little bit of an object lesson. So hopefully it'll make a little bit of sense. When God created us, he is a perfect and loving God. He's clean, and everything that he does is right. When he made us, maybe that's you, maybe that's me. When he made us to be like him and to have perfect lives with him. See, look how good you look. You're all clean and pure. I could just drink you right up. But you know what? You didn't stay that way, and neither did I. Because see, all of us have made choices that are selfish, choices that are sinful. We've chosen to do things that go against what God has asked of us, against the way he created us. What are some of those things? Well, we've told lies, or maybe we've cheated on a test. Or maybe it's something even as simple as thinking bad thoughts about other people. And every single one of those actions is called sin. And when we do them, it does something to our hearts. See, sin is something that can't have anything to do with God. See how different it is? It's all cloudy and yucky, and when we make choices that are sinful, it's like it changes us. It changes our being so that we aren't clean and pure anymore. Now our hearts are full of darkness and yuckiness, and we can't change it. And there's a verse in the Bible that says, for the wages of sin is death. There's another verse in Romans chapter 3:23 that says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. That means you, that means me, we all deserve to die for our sin. But God wasn't okay with that. He was not okay to let all of his creative people that he loved die and be separated from him forever. So he made a plan, and he sent Jesus, his son, to the earth to live a perfect, sinless life and to show us how to live, but also to take sin, our sin, the sin of the whole world, into himself to deal with it. So when Jesus died on the cross, he took our sin into him to finish it forever. And when our sin went on Jesus, he conquered it because Jesus is stronger than our sin. And when he went to the grave and he died, he left our sin there. The sin of the whole world was completely done away with. That's amazing. But what about us? What about our hearts? Because I know I've made selfish choices, and I know maybe you have too. And that yucky sin in our hearts, if we choose to say, Jesus, I'm sorry for my sin. I believe that you are stronger than death, and that you in dying on the cross have dealt with sin forever. You know what he does? He pours his perfect life into us. And you know what it does? It makes us clean. It makes us pure. It gives us brand new hearts so that we can actually live with God forever, even after we die. Our life will never end because now we have God's life alive in us. That's why Jesus had to die.
What a great story the thieves on the cross are. Because it asks us to be thinking about a couple of things. Are we going to be like the one thief who made Jesus his king? Or are we going to be like the other thief who had a decision to make but chose not to make Jesus his king? You see, today, some of you have made Jesus your king, and that is awesome. After today, I just want to encourage you, would you just say yes to that again? Yes to following Jesus and obeying him. For others of you, you maybe have a decision to make. Will you today choose to make Jesus your king? And how would you do that if you wanted to? Well, it's really easy. It's like A, B, C. A, you admit that you've sinned, that you've been selfish, that you've done bad things, and you need Jesus' help. B, you believe that Jesus died for your sin and your selfishness, and you believe that he actually rose from the dead and beat sin and death. And then C, you choose to follow Jesus with everything you have, making Jesus the king of your life. If you wanted to do that, you could even start right now. All it would take would you doing this. Just praying a prayer to God and starting that journey of making Jesus your king. So if you want to do that, pray with me. Dear Jesus, I admit I have sinned. I've been selfish. I believe you died on the cross for my sin. I believe that you rose from the dead. And with everything I am, I choose to follow you. Amen. If you prayed that prayer and you meant it with all of your heart and mind, you have made Jesus your king. And you need to tell someone about it. In fact, you need to tell your parents about it. And you probably should have your parents tell us because we'd like to celebrate with you. The other thing you should do is you should ask your parents to pray with you that the Holy Spirit would fill your life and teach you how to follow Jesus. Well, it's good to say yes to Jesus as our King this week. Have an awesome Easter, Crossroads kids.